Ladies and gentlemen, welcome for another fantastic day here as we're having a lovely showcase match here once again today. It's going to be between a couple of amazing teams here over here on the EMEA side of things. We have South Africa going and taking on Iceland. It should be a fantastic time here today as Spectron, I'm more excited to get into this thing than anything, and we're going to be getting started extremely quickly. We'll tend to go over the rosters as we go along, but we're getting to this very quickly so.
We don't often get a chance to use that second A in our acronym, right? Europe, yeah, a lot of. Middle East, obviously recent times have been pretty common. Africa, that's a rare one. Obviously, some of these players have had a pretty long career in EMEA, most notably Condi, who's had success as part of Sheer Cold, most notably. The team that developed Zodia released that player onto the world. But before that, a long time messing around in that tier 2, tier 3 as part of teams like Mind Goblin, winning multiple lands, competing at Insomnia against players like Sauna. LD as well, I believe mostly on Moths, if I'm not much mistaken, from the South African team. From Icelandic side of things, Ginger Rayfield, by far the strongest player. Obviously, I believe currently in North America, playing for Collegiate, but sharp in this already.
But you're already seeing a little bit of a uniqueness out the gate on the Reinhardt gets hurt. And pairing up with Mizuki is definitely a fascinating situation right here, but already what was respectively called each side over here as they're trying to move forward already. Beginning to try to clear these out with Palmer already down and Kina coming through. They do lose out on Ginger though pretty late in that situation. Boom! Just gonna try to focus on getting out alive. Unfortunately, that is not.
It's a little bit weird, but you're kind of chill anyway. You can kind of lose their tank as well, and later Diva's coming back pretty fast, especially Green, because you give that taxi. Much more standard comp, I think, so far. Being played by Iceland. Interesting, we are actually seeing some use out of the music key. People debating the character's effect, and some yet to be blown away by it so far, but an attempt from South Africa.
Yeah, 100%, but they're going to go in with that aggression, going to try to force somebody out. You are going to see eventually they're going to get out of there is yours, but still taking the aggression in this fight. You see the attack going over towards the backline of the point. Almost slips over, was right there, but now everyone going to be settling on the point. Stick going through, will get over onto Gloom, and without the tank, unfortunately, South Africa is going to struggle to stay in this one.
Anytime you can't get hard swinging, then you're going to incredibly struggle if you are South Africa. Lovely exit frag from Sterling. Orion making it quite much easier. One thing I would like to see is them stopping going towards the objective and start really trying to clear that kind of white room, that server area for using some of the staircases to attack that.
110% already coming for 70%. Orion going in with overclock, trying to make a little bit of space for them as the Pickaxe Sanctuary is used for a little bit of that defense to keep them going. Because this is down to last fight. Realistically, at this point right here, Ginger Refill going to go in so close to having that remake. Does indeed have it ready to go for that bomb with him. Temporary flip go over 75%. With Karma already gone, the resets are happening quickly. As again, you're going to see a reset here for South Africa. They need to come back together for one more fight. They will at least get 60% out of it and grant them another fight.
Yeah, Flip buys them time, but so far 10 hasn't been so strong for them. Wolves are better on this one, so they should be able to put off the back of them. But if they take another slow fight, then very likely Orion or Crazy will be able to find an opening pick before they have a time to use their raids, to use their shatter.
110%. And now we'll see with the initiation this year. You imagine if I go in with that over to Rape, but no, Sterling going to get them started here with that overclock instead. Remember, Green Shoes still has that beat ready to go whenever they decide to go with the aggression, but unfortunately going to go down early. But you see this backline for South Africa is kind of already falling apart, so everyone has to play for themselves, stay as safe as they realistically can right here. But you see, Ginger is still back at full health. As the full song thrown out, doesn't find any receipts as a priest is just going to be soloed over onto Ginger, who is going to try to be able to remake, but obviously no success there. As rough as it was, again, South Africa hold on.
An attempt at the bomb reset from Ginger, bold to say the least, but as you mentioned, South Africa still surviving. Grizzy knows that Orion dead. The momentum finally in their favor, and the Rheincorn so good at holding the choke here. Really not to believe it so far though, just playing back, playing to respond to their enemy's plays, knowing that a heat engage may not cause them issues, and also their opponents have to respect the Surf Shatter.
Absolutely going to have to respect it over here, and obviously you don't have to run into it. You're seeing Pikachu probably hang around a little further back so that in case he does hit, you do have kind of that bounce back immediately. You see them right now, they are split right now, and you're going to see them trying to take advantage of it. Bloom's going to try to run down, but here comes that split. They try to force a point from behind. Not going to happen as they get back extremely quickly as the beat will be used correctly. Karma's taken out. You do get the orbital ray out, but you have no support left over. This fight needs to end quickly for them as Shatter goes down. Pikachu gets soloed. They try to take the pin away, but it's not going to keep them alive. And now he is on Orion to keep this going as point is going to flip over. A couple of touches potentially remaining. They're going to try to get there, but they will come up just short. So 100 to 83 is going to be the case. That's honestly a good rally from South Africa in that situation. But unfortunately, the moment they got split, it just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, unfortunately, they hoped the Earthjacks would be enough to buy it in that fight, but they didn't find enough value from it. And because of that, outvalued in the long fight, when Ginger and Co have taken angles, they're able to find the punish, as we've been seeing multiple times. Any of these long fights against Ryan, the characters simply can't do anything. I do think it's really interesting how consistently Zoom was pinning straight towards the payload. They made it so easy for Orion especially just to hold server and take really powerful angles. Bigger and DPS can't do that. They don't have tank assistance, nor do they have the possibility of it because their tank is just holding shield on the objective. So that's what was more standard compared to Zoom now on the Winston.
Yeah, and I don't mind those Winston, honestly, not at all, but obviously Ginger Refill's still going to find a good amount of value over on this D.Va regardless, so we'll see how it's going down. And in terms of swaps right here, I like the fact that they go a little more standard with Kiri into Lucio instead when it comes to Karma and Melly. Before these teams wasn't able to do a ton before, it feels like, but they've been forced into this small room right now, which honestly, you're pretty happy with that if you're Iceland. You can kind of just barrel in with this D.Va, and that cleanup is going to be swift and simple as Condi last one alive. Being taken out, that's going to be the wipe here for Iceland to get them the objective.
He's going well so far for him. I think there's an environmental coming through on the Melody. Karma, I think the same, but the kill credit didn't look like it. Unfortunately, backline got really stuck at Dojo, wasn't able to do anything about it. Not where you typically want to be playing, especially on Winston comps. They've got another chance at least to make good on that mistake. Heavy early engage from Lucius Armor instantly.
Yeah, gets kind of pushed back in momentarily, but Melody with the big boop after that. So honestly, creates the massive opening, and you can try to fight this, but Jorg is the only support still hanging around. And at this stage of the game, if you don't have a reset here momentarily from Frizzy, yeah, it's gonna flip over to 32%, a lot quicker, and Jorg resetting, gonna give them a little bit more time as Condi first ultimate online with that full spot.
You can get any strong targets for it. This is a hard comp to pulse into. You need the cleanse to be out. You need Ginger to not be looking to eat it. And even then, only Orion and Pikachu are ones out their own escape cooldown off the back of that. So it's tricky to find the connection. It's possible though, especially for a player like Condi.
No, 110%. So we'll see how this fight ends up going down here. Look at that Kitsune rush right here for Jorg right now. Power Melody just behind on their own as they're standing in that rush, trying to find somebody. You see the separation. Eventually, Sterling going to be the first to go down. The Soldiers both being taken care of this early on right here. But you're around the corner from having that primary. It's going to give you so much more sustainability to get in this one. But yeah, Chrissy taken care of. You see that bitter revenge comes after the fact that you're seeing Iceland trying to bring themselves back in this one. But the beat is going to bring that aggressiveness. Both are going to have to use this. Ginger barely going to be able to stay in that mech. There's so much already put into this fight. It's still a lot more to be put in as Luma is going to push into this limit, trying to find somebody to knock off effect. They're struggling to narrow it on one person, but you see that knockdown as they are chasing down Orion to the best of their ability. Will eventually get them, but needs to join the rest of their team right now as point will flip over 67% as Bloom is still in here, but the pulse bomb will quickly send them out.
Indeed, this bash there. Frizzy taking absolutely no part in that. Good amount of progress, obviously, so far for South Africa. Disengage just a bit tricky. Lead with a Kitsu, extend with a block is actually decent idea. Have to know the bomb that usually goes. Now
we go into the situation right now, 55% on the board. Sterling trying to find something with a little help with that considered rush. Really able to. Sterling eventually, though, does find that shot onto Green Kachu. Opens up the door once more as Chrissy wants to stall, but once again, Sterling, good shot. Keep them going in 70% one-fight territory, but there's just a set of bombs on him for these teams.
Sterling gonna high flyer so far, but we did use everything for that now the bomb.
Well, I mean, one bomb finds value. I'll tell you that much at the end of the day. Condi has already gotten rid of 2 as well, so door opening back up here for Iceland. Try to take claim back over on to this point. It's 90% on the board. They're being forced away. You're seeing Ginger making their back into that match, trying to get back here. Just one more time. There's definitely words to be said on that one, and I'm sure we'll find them momentarily. But Swoon being down early means this fight is just done, dusted. Everyone else could try to stall, but we're already at 99%, so instead, everyone else just going to take the restart. I don't know what happened to Sterling in that situation, but, I mean, Iceland took advantage immediately.
Generally, I would recommend not free-fighting yourself. I think I'd say the game is always much easier to play. Because of this, your opponents have a small lead on each couple. You do have the sound barrier to bring you able to match in a second, and to walk into the deep. I mean, you can see how much damage Zoom is taking so early on.
100%. But now you're going to this, and Ricky 2 is right around the corner from their own sound barrier. Melody there is going to go as well. So we'll see who tends to be the aggressor right here. But when the moment one gets pulled, the other will certainly go too, as Melody has to pull the corner, close to going down, as Orion is not going to get caught with it right here. So door opens up wide here for South Africa to pull this one back around Zoom. Has a little bit of that extra aggression with the Primal Rage ready to go. Pulse bomb thrown out, will end up missing from Chrissy, but still managed to find Sterling as point. Can be able to flip over momentarily. Zoom has that Primal Rage, still will be able to keep sustaining with their squad, as Rinkachu trying to get back in here, going to be able to help with that stall a little bit. Cleanse used as they're barely going to get that next touch online, as Zoom being very patient. Use this, by the way, but unfortunately they can't even retouch.
That was really close to them being able to continue that overtime, have a really strong recontest. They slip up the absolute last microsecond. Nobody goes in for a touch, not quite a full C9, but they're not really feeling so happy about that. And that side up 1-1. South Africa will be able to take us to Night Market. And though they're kind of behind in the statistics, wait, 9 deaths to Sterling, not what you love to see, right? But they ultimately, even in the map score, if they play like they did on the previous, a decent chance of taking this first map.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously, we'll see the fact that there's not really any changes here. Obviously, Chrissy and Condi going to TP them out, but more than likely just going to go over and match those tracers once more. I'm excited to see if they decide to take this fight to the outside, or whether you see Iceland try to make their stance on the point a little bit quicker. It feels like it really didn't go for that Winston to go on, but no, it's South Africa that instead is pulling this off, as they do have to kind of hang back. You cannot allow Zoom to get turned on.
Oh, aggressive jump. Loses his armor, drops out, bubbles to find the value he wants, but able to survive at least.
Yeah, somehow, some way, by the way. I mean, that was rough for a moment there, but stays alive. But still, even with this being the case, Iceland has forced their way on. Going to be able to get that first cap right here. With Sterling down, yeah, this is going to become nice potential. Difficult to come back from. They get it on Swoom, and yeah, South Africa just has to hit the reset button right here. Would love to find an exit frag if possible, but fortunately, it's not going to happen. Jordan very close to doing so, but Condi's life mission does not succeed.
Yeah, Matrix over Jordan's head, helps him survive, but freaky bum time at least a little bit. Again, Zoom is damage in these free fights. Should mean a lead and all charge to go support. We're not quite seeing that manifested. Zoom has to live.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Zoom, we've already seen, has been very aggressive over on the tank, which sometimes can be a good thing, but sometimes you can just be simply caught out early on. There's not much you can do in that situation, as you see the separation pulling through immediately as Pulse Bomb going to stick onto Melody. You might see a temporary flip, but no, eventually everyone's going to fall back towards the point, as Condi, unfortunately, giving Ginger a nice little healthy breakfast to get this map going. As again, they're going to be shut down. They need to reset, trying not to lose anybody here.
What you can do, 60%, obviously put more than half kick. Running out of time to have some progress, and they're probably going to lead every ultimate bar that gets him. What you have to see, oh, what a hit onto Melody.
Yeah, that's going to be a really rough one at this stage, because now, you're kind of locked in here right now. You can try to get out right now. They are going to chase you down. Everything in their power, and Ginger gotten rid of their second already. They're trying to send bodies on the point to find the temporary flip, but again, they get there just in time to prevent it from going through. 85%. This is going to be really rough to pull back. Zoom is really trying to avoid using the primal range.
Oh, a lovely string.
find anything that's like without it. This time you have it. Thanks, double support. Might need to just so you get over and started.
Literally, just even get on the point, but Orion goes down early on, so door is potentially opening for South Africa to take this fight here, but still they need to find another target because Jorg is ready with that Kitsune rush. Big move onto Ginger, though. That swings that door massively wide open, and the beat almost knocks them off the edge. Pikachu is lucky to have stayed alive through all of that, but still, the fight is still ferocious. It's still going on fiercely as Pikachu is able to go and get the health back just in time. But for now, South Africa gets the point.
They do, and it's going to actually protect the problem if they want to be able to take the young tower. Obviously, one fight lost, and that is going to be it. Condi, a lot of pressure on his shoulders to find value with his pulse bomb, but all autonomy, the name of the game, the same thing as could be Steam.
Not so fast.
Yeah, that's a little rough right there. Melody having a little bit of fun. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out, and now Condi goes pulse bomb. It gets nothing, and now you have nothing left in the bank here. I mean, Swoom is trying to hang around here, but Pulse Bomb thrown in on them, sent down to nothingness. It's just Condi and Sterling trying to get back for more touches, but unfortunately, I don't think it's quite going to matter right here as Melody gets their way in. It's going to take momentary attention away as Sterling not even going to get the retouch. So, Iceland with the first map on board, which, by the way, Ginger refill, 42 kills. My God.
Yeah, Ginger actually just lobby Adam and 12k damage. Only outmatched by Orion was at 17k.
Yeah, about it.
Ginger kind of just did everything. Didn't die. 42 and 5. You really can't ask for more, but I mean, like I said, even despite the Katie, was a strong performance still from South Africa. We're able to play a couple of different songs. The Winston that we saw, obviously, on Gardens was the best for them. It was like when they give Condi a chance to cook, things began to turn out more in their favor. But they also feel like a team where, at least from what we've seen so far, right? If they don't have anything on their side, they're not likely to make anything from their side. Sterling not really giving us some pre-fights. It's kind of more Orion's kind of style of play. That's his Gamut. So, curious what we see next, because of course we are doing this same as a standard match. So, first pick, first ban going towards Team South Africa. Gibraltar with an Ashe ban does make sense. Ashe is annoying from the hit scan. If Sterling wants to play Soj anyway, then it kind of forces you to play either that or the Freya. Some teams that have been trying the M-Race, in my opinion, again, mixed results.
Yeah, again, the ultimate really good. I think everything else, perhaps, maybe more to be desired. But I like Gibraltar, the situation, just because I think it's just clear that Swoon wants to try to make this Winston work, and I think this could get them a better situation to make it work, rather than Lijiang, where, again, you go into something like a control center where I feel like that Winston maybe isn't the best pick in the world, potentially. So I like this. It plays to their strengths. It opens up to what they want to do. It should be good to see. But obviously, ban still needs to go in place here for Iceland to see what they want to do. Now, obviously, they could ban the Winston if they wanted to. There was no protection on the tank right here, but instead, ooh, the Brig being banned makes things very fascinating, actually. And to be fair, it's Gibraltar. You expect that there's a 50-50 chance, at least, of there being a Brig. You don't hate it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, Brig ban coming through, it makes it harder to play Tracer, first and foremost. It means that you very likely see a Wu Yang Ana setup, maybe Kiri Ana a lot of the time. Double flex essentially guaranteed, right? Lucio, Strider goes to find value here. It does make it significantly easier to play Winston, I think, to a lesser extent Diva. It's an interesting one, for sure. Trying to target the Ana Brig backline in general, something that a lot of teams might not have a lot of experience with. It has been meta for a while, and so, especially with these World Cup teams being relatively freshly formed, right, not a lot of scrim experience with each other, it's kind of complicated. And when anyone has more experience playing something like a Wu Yang comp, where you don't need to hard comp so much, you need to micro your rotation so much, you just stand main, shoot your gun, and hope it works out.
Yeah, that's what you got to hope for right there. So obviously, we'll see momentarily what the result ends up being right here. We do know that if things stay as they are, you should be able to see South Africa on the attack first. So we'll see how that aggression works for them in terms of that. But we're going to take a quick minute just to make sure everything is going as planned. But now, obviously, with the tanks relatively untouched, we go out here and you would expect to have the same situation where Zoom goes out on the Winston, Ginger goes back on the Diva. During a previous outing of Team Iceland in their own show match, which if I remember correctly, I think we did that one as well, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember in my head. I'll gaslight you and just say I'll gaslight you and say we did. But Ginger did play that Diva a pretty fair amount as well before, so it is one of their preferred picks for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's Ginger's best hero. I think not many people would disagree with me on that.
Yeah.
Obviously, has the whole off-tank hero pool, but we'll be playing the Diva unless the hero is banned or hell freezes over. It is interesting, actually, to me that we aren't seeing Theo play today. I guess he's not available because Theomatic's hero pool being mostly Winston does seem to suit the kind of style of play we're seeing today. But Zoom, I think, been somewhat on the back foot trying to replicate it so far. So we'll see if that's something that we see later on, or whether they're going to be sticking with Zoom permanently based off of results. Because again, Theomatic has been retired, semi-retired for a little while now. Maybe he just doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, you've seen some players that before in 2023 came out of retirement to do World Cup stuff, and that's been the case for quite a few players down in South America where they've come out of temporary retirement to go and try to play for the World Cup. It's worth noting as we're getting into this one, though, because some teams are beginning to solidify their rosters. Iceland has solidified their roster. South Africa, though, has not. This is not their locked-in roster today, so this might be what you end up seeing for the wild card. It might not be what you see for the wild card. It's something that will have yet to be seen, and today, honestly, it could be part of those tryout situations to figure out, hey, do we feel this is our 7 that we want to go into the wild card with?
One has to hope they get pretty close to decided, though, because we are running out of time, rather. What is it, like a month between now and wildcards?
A little less, yeah. Wildcard is happening sometime this month. There's not exact dates that are public yet, unfortunately, but I'm sure we'll find out very, very soon here right now as Ginger out on the Diva. But perhaps a more interesting note, Green Kachu looks like they're going to let the cat loose right now.
Interesting. I guess the value you find here... I don't see the value find here for the cat. I think it's literally here just to be like a mobile, hard to punish additional angle. Because in terms of tether value, who are you tethering? You can't easily act as high grounds. You have you can drag the bomb in from Ginger if you want to go for a bit of big play. How consistent is that? I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Interesting that we're seeing this rather than just go towards like a Wiang, for example. But the cat mirror, in fact, coming through, at least with Melody. Then you have both Sterling and Palmer maybe trying to pull that. Smooth is instantly there.
Yeah, to be fair, you take the instant credit as well. Good sleep over on the cat, by the way, who is going to take a quick nap, but will get out of there alive. So Crizzy is just coming back from spawn, so this kind of does give South Africa the moment to get to a tiny bit of space and kind of let things open up a bit for Condi as well, who's trying to push that card, but Ginger doesn't want to let them get an inch of taking the forward.
I mean, Ginger is unrelenting on this chase as Iceland's angles have got hard to break. Interesting the lack of hit scan, especially on defense. They want to play with the double flank DPS. We'll see how it works out. Sticky Smith, Ginger overextends. Doesn't have a dice anyway.
Yeah, and you see Green Shoe goes with the aggressive right there. Unfortunately, little too much aggression, so now it's just Cringy and Ginger is out of the mech, by the way, as Cringy's just going to try to get out of there alive, as they should be able to, if they put bodies on, get Sling fully through that underpass.
Obviously rolling. And now Zoom pushed up. Makes it incredibly hard for anyone to begin to take space, but he knows that Pivot is on a timer. If Ginger swings the missiles, then quickly it's going to Zoom one out of position, overextended. Ooh, oh wow.
Yeah, speaking of that right there, just wasting no time going in there and taking care of business. And now Ginger has to play safe. They still have both supports, but with the way that they're at right now, you're going to see if there's another touch. There will not be, though, so for South Africa, that's a relatively quick take right here. It already feels like a quite different situation than we saw back on Legion.
Indeed. It feels like Connie and Sterling are more warmed up now. The Ashban, I think, really working in their favor this Cassidy. Really keeps it crazy and going up onto those two. It's really easy. What do you want? Forcing South Africa to take and cover this time.
Yeah, that's rough right there. And you see Rikachu trying to get out. Unfortunately, not going to happen. The Cats trying to get out as Melody gets the better of him there. But you see Ginger is just kind of on the assault in the back line, is clearing out House, but this card's still making a little bit of progress, which, you know, hey, at the end of the day, that first half tends to be gotten for free a lot of the time anyhow. It's waiting for that proper opening to come through. Unfortunately, none being given to them right now.
Yeah, they need to take something at some point else. I imagine it's going to be continued progress here for the Rhinos. Nano available. Catnap is through.
I don't know how that happens right there. Melody gets their own momentarily. I don't think it ends up getting a whole lot, though. We see the trails coming through. Now there's 3 cats going around as Gunnar makes that coffee over right there. So, but the whole time, by the way, the front's been moving. So regardless of the fact that you're probably gonna, I mean, you should lose this fight if you're South Africa, as you're kind of just surrounded if you're Swoon. But no, Condi gets back in. Door swings wide open. Spec, they have a real opportunity here, but they're trying to get rid of Ginger's support and try to burn them down in the process. As Ringachu's trying to get back in. Deadeye gonna be pulling them from above, and there's nothing you can really do here as you manage to block it out. With that bomb going to come through, it's going to stick on. Condi is going to take themselves out with their own pulse bomb, and unfortunately, as Jorg, big at the end there, that's going to fall apart.
Not quite sure how about any of that nonsense. Condi says, oops, I'd hope so, bro. I was a slip-up, for sure, but it's all G. Even if fights go in your favor, you still have 3 minutes to win one fight. You invest pretty heavily into that versus your opponent. The Catnap will bring you into the only tool line in the stage fight at all, and I will say, when you're properly battle back, you take some of his base, as South Africa is really awful outside of the effective range.
Yeah, it's a rough that situation, especially with Karma down this early. It feels difficult to really take any fight in this scenario. Gunnar overextends a little bit. Bloom takes them out in the process. So it does kind of create some level of opening, but Condi's in a rough space of their own, being kind of hunted down by Grizzy, but in all. And here comes that aggression once more. Kachu, though, could very easily try to pick up somebody like Swoom or Karma when they get back and simply hold them into death.
Indeed. Obviously, environmental is kind of tricky. Karma drops those needs to self-made, but then again, kind of cooldowns in this company still find the same amount of value, and Ginger's on the case. However, because we now allow the walk to come in South Africa, it's something a lot harder for Gunnar and Tricky to find the free angle forced out already by a deep jump.
Yep, and here comes that still right there. Sterling is caught momentarily, but unfortunately gets broken free. Sterling, however, is going to be taken down anyway as nearly the pulse bomb sticks. Oh my god, Condi, you monster! Does that, and now it's just Swoom hanging around right here. Unfortunately, again, not going to be enough as Swoom can run, but they cannot.
That's my epic fan runner-up. Lovely stick there from Condi. Crazy value, but unfortunately, doesn't actually mean anything because the rest of his team's dead, so it's a nice little montage play, you know, get some mental differential over your opponents. And I said how they were kind of fine. That time has since elapsed. They've been held here for what feels like about 3 minutes. Their opponents still got both types of bomb and looking for another early hit.
Yeah, and pulse bomb sticks, and Chrissy gets theirs back right there over onto Karma. And now another situation where Karma down this early, Condi as well. You got to take another reset, and now with 50 seconds left, you have to imagine this is going to be a final fight situation.
The only tool to stop somebody getting pulsed on this team is hope that Condi or Sterling marks the angle. It's inconsistent at best. Yeah. It feels like if we were on Kiri rather than the cat, we'd be able to save that, but we ain't, and so one fight territory. Nano, lovely to have. I think it's soon a rush. Really, it'd be enough.
Yeah, I'm very afraid we have a cat coming around the corner here. I have a deep-seated fear that is going to be happening right here. You see that aggression coming through again. Primal Rage activated, going to try to force the supports over into their respective corners right here. Not able to do a whole lot as, unfortunately, it doesn't work out for Sterling. Gunnar trying to stay alive, but unfortunately will eventually be burned down. Now Zoom again over on the point, trying to hang around. They only have Condi and Karma to help them out though, so now you have to force one more touch right here. If you are Zoom, Condi does have the overtime at least to start taking things through, but I mean, you have the bomb, you have the catnap as well. You have nobody close to being able to aid you, and it looks like with maybe a couple more getting some staggering touches, this should be the extent of things here for South Africa.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. Plenty of strong opportunities, plenty of good chances, great mechanical plays from individuals, but never really able to convert, never able to win a decisive fight, which is really strange to see, because there was a time when it felt like the map was kind of on rails and everything going out in their favor, but simply not able to convert. And now,
Initiating match.
80 meters achievable for the attackers. Absolutely. This is a very achievable goal to reach as we push through. Generally, we see teams get stuck either under bridge, here, or like on the final corner trying to complete the map. So then I would call this an average performance on the map. Obviously, when you've just lost map one, though, you have your own pick, your own ban. You'd rather do just more than average. So I think there's maybe a sense of trepidation in the South Africa camp right now. No more of that Cassidy. Back on it's entirely standard code. Zoom on the Winston. Sterling, back on the Sojourn.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't mind. At the end of the day, I think Sterling looked pretty good back on that Sojourn, back on Lijiang. I think had a lot of really big ups that you're going to bring back in the situation. And at least for their side, no cat to be seen. Green Kachu, we'll have to see if they opt to stick with it or not. I don't think either was getting like incredible value, obviously, for what they were trying to do with them right here. But if Kachu stuck on it, it honestly wouldn't surprise me at all, would it?
5,
No.
3, 2.
No, I see the
What's the character
disappointment in your
for
voice.
fun? Like, I don't know. I don't like Cat very much. I don't think he does anything. He was there to like ruin my rank game and stuff. I'm willing to be educated.
Well, maybe you'll get a little bit of Kachu education here coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll see, as Sterling already being given a lot of pressure here early on. Almost taken out super early. Is the biggest thing coming right here is what we saw before was the point kind of be stopped really early by Iceland. But for South Africa right now, they are kind of just letting it pass through.
We got a lot of push for free. We're finally getting caught spot now, and the high ground pressure is at Brooklyn just works out so well in their favor. Both teams really bad in the high ground for now, but South Africa is just like give it up.
Yeah, and again, they're trying to keep everybody alive. You don't want to have to snowball out and be in a rush scenario for that next fight, but that does include keeping everybody alive as well, because they're trying to collapse in on them, but Ginger does get E-Max, so that opens up the door big time. Eventually, they'll be taken out, but you play around maybe a little too long as Gunner. He takes care of two bodies right here. As Swoom going to get a little bit of care just in time, as Karma going buck wild over on the carry, gets rid of two of their own, as Guard gets to 60 meters. That should be it for now.
Zoom are both backgrounders still alive. The respawn is going to be relatively fast from Team South Africa. They're still just comfortable for a little bit. No DPS early pressure means that Grizzly can just force card. At least until Pony's there to mark it. Lots of map control is going to have to be taken by. Oh, full sticky.
Yeah, Stickies, and Zora gets that finish as well. Beat's going to be used here, though. They're going to try to rush through and find somebody here, but Gunner with that copy over on the Winston, not getting a whole lot here, but still, might not matter a whole lot. We see everybody kind of being forced back. Melody in a rough situation, but City Rush is around the corner, and honestly, that feels like an ultimate that is going to be needed for this to be a win, as Conti gets their full spawn eaten, so it definitely needs to find its value. Unfortunately, it's not, with Swoom already down. Ginger Reaper going to have the bomb to be able to re-mech here. Is going to be able to get back in, but everyone's still hanging around. Swoop is not too far away right here. South Africa should be able to hold on, but they don't retouch the point.
They get 2 kills. I think it was Baby winnable, but they've gone a little bit too far, hoping that there'll be a Zoom touch, but still respawning. Comet able to take care of Grizzly and they connect the frag, but still let the exit on his own as well. Ginger's there for the chase. I mean, you're about comparable time with what your opponents have, but your opponent's second point stop with pretty stellar. So you've got 1.5 fights here, I'd probably say. If your team, South Africa, to defend for 4 minutes more. It's an uphill battle by any stretch of the imagination, and if not, they'll be going down 0-2 in the show match.
Yeah, obviously it would be rough to start right there in this one, but still a chance to pull it back. We saw the great hold earlier here from Iceland. South Africa going to try to pull off the exact same thing right here, but still, you have some good tools ready, but you see Zoom gets pulled in and is going to be pulled back further. Hit the prime range for it as well. Unfortunately, they're not going to escape. That is really unfortunate timing, but still, things are kicking. Sterling trying to keep it going in this one. Going to be forced back. Will just get perked down by Ginger as that cart gonna start inching forward slowly, and now bodies need to throw themselves on because you are running out of bodies and you are running out of time.
Indeed. Melody respawning. You'd love to have that Lucio alive. A beat for the touch. Christine, there is your first touch. See how long we'll last one out on this diva.
Yeah, but the beat's not going to be there in time. Zoom needs to be able to try to get this Mac back, but they're immediately being thrown in on. But you see, Condi coming back over on the Vendetta to try to find some value. The bomb can be thrown up, though. All you can do is try to block, try to retouch. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. So Iceland taking our second map as well. And man, again, Ginger looking great over on that Diva. The back and forth from Crizzy and Condi that entire time was insane. But you have to give it up to this backline as well. That was, I think, incredibly consistent throughout the entire stretch of this match.
Oh, absolutely. I think, I mean, you mentioned the backline. They're simply not getting punished too often. Occasionally, the DPS would get shut down, Condi, and Sterling would land some shots, but it felt like we never had to say Grinkachu or Jordan's name, basically ever. They were chill, they did their job. The cat, notoriously hard to punish, right? It's really only the hit scan in this comp who can interact with the character even at all. And so because of that, Iceland just able to have consistent healing basically all the time. Gives Ginger the confidence to be aggressive all the time. Like, because he was really at 110%, right? Just boostering into teams again and again and again. So now, again, Iceland up 2-0. They're feeling very confident now and looking like one of the teams to beat in the wild card.
Yeah, 100%. We've had that conversation quite a bit as to, like, hey, because it's hard to really have, like, a power scale in the back of your mind as to how well is everyone going to do, because you'll see two teams go at each other and one team really dominates in a block, and then they go play another team and then they get dominated in that block, and it's like, well, who does this say more about at the end of the day? So it's hard to kind of give a scale sometimes based upon that. But Iceland looked good the last time we saw them as well. I think they're looking great here too, and I think the situation of South Africa, I think, still trying to figure themselves out in this scenario. Obviously it is later in the game, but they still have a bit of time to figure it out. And today, I think, is part of that process to figure out what do we like, what do we want to do here, because there's definitely some good pieces on this team. I think that's incredibly easy to see. They just need to be able to kind of pull it all together.
Indeed. We are seeing a swap by the way. I believe it's going to be the One King in. Jacob going to be in as well. Jacob, I believe, mostly known for playing Brigitte from that support role. But I might be mistaken. The One King, not a player I am familiar with. And of course, this is a rule set of a rule set of a best of 7. So we will be playing till 4. So South Africa, plenty of time to figure out. Yeah, One King's DPS, Jacob, break player. But yeah, best of 7. So we'll be playing till 4. South Africa, plenty of time to figure out how to make the adjustments, and already making some swaps. See if that will increase their fortunes, perchance, as we start thinking about mount number 3. Yeah,
it's interesting to see, because King kind of is part of that squad with Sterling and Swoon with Inglorious Blasters that we kind of talked about near the very beginning. So one of the things that's, I think, really important to note that maybe you don't get with every single region is these players having experience together when it comes to playing on teams, not just within the World Cup teams, but from other teams. A bunch of the members from Iceland are in that same exact camp where they plan to play on their own teams, but they've also had a lot of their own experiences as well outside of that. Just recently, Ginger was playing on that EU Takeover squad that was playing in North American Face at this last season. I think looked really decent over there when they were in, and now playing over here. I think there's a good reason to be excited about them, to be excited about this Iceland team as well, who every time we've seen them have looked strong, and the question is how they're going to measure up against these other wildcard teams that maybe we haven't had the best of looks at, as to that extent. So like I said earlier, it's hard to power scale in your head, but there's still a lot of reasons to be confident about who you see.
Yeah, I mean, I think specific power rankings in Overwatch have always been very tricky. I think more general ones have always been quite easy. It's you watch good Overwatch, it kind of is obvious. I think it's the trained eye at the very least. But if you just use the example of this team beat this team, so this team this beats this team, it's kind of like rock paper scissors power scaling. It's not so practical. So we'll try and stray away from making those comparisons, and when we watch the wild card, make sure we're trying to avoid those types of matchups. But also, if you're doing particularly well in some of these broadcast matches in the beforehand, then I don't think you're going to be too mad about that either.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, the basic example in my head, we look over at South America. We've been following Costa Rica a lot of the time, and they have been phenomenal every show match they've been in, their tryouts that they did. a few days back were really entertaining, so that's been a lot of fun, and we've been really confident about them and how they performed. But again, it's a situation of you don't know exactly what you're going to see until you get into those wild cards, and everyone is actually like on the spot, like, hey, this is do or die. We got to do the best we can because despite the amount of teams that are doing it, there is a very limited number of spots. That's a little bit more open when it comes to EMEA, as they have, I believe, an additional like 4 spots overall for their conference. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But obviously, just gonna see what we see here in a few weeks' time with this wild card. But for now, it'd be fascinating to see where things go. But we gotta focus in on what our next map is, where we're going. Spec, it's gonna be Blizzard World, and already we see Condi throwing out there that Cassidy band going to come online for South Africa.
Yeah, Anna band going to be the response from Team Iceland. I think that makes sense. Jacob coming in implies he's then going to play Brig, which implies they're going to probably be playing Anna as well. Cassidy ban is annoying for you if you want to play Tracer mostly, but the One King is kind of the question mark. Obviously, we saw some Cassidy previously from Sterling, but not being in anymore kind of changes the calculus, as it were, and so it implies that Iceland either had another DPS ban that they were thinking about, or were just going to play the Cassidy. Which isn't something we've seen so far. Ryan has been exclusively on the social, if I'm not much mistaken. So this is an interesting one. We've been sticking to this DPS ban basically the entire game now, it feels like. So it might be something they're trying to protect. For example, Condi on the Tracer or Vendetta.
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's going to be fascinating to see the Vendetta, because we've only seen it in the brief instance that Condi pulled it out for that last fight over on Gibraltar. So we'll see if we see more of it, because obviously that Zarya Vendetta combo that haunts people's dreams has been seen very prolifically in some of these droughts as well. Obviously haven't seen it yet today, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to at some point. I feel like there's a real possibility that will be the case, but at least for Iceland, as long as they still make things work, you know, with the Diva, with the Soj, there's not really a reason for them to swap. This isn't like a regular trout where it's like, hey, we need to see everything you've got. It's about, hey, we're going to play what we're best at because we're coming in here trying to win this thing.
Indeed. See if the win can come through. Blizzard World, pretty fun map in my opinion. One of my personal favorites. Mostly focuses around long sideline control and mid-dive scaling. Especially when you play it with like Winston, Wrecking Ball. Those are long memories to remember the old days of Zen, Brig, Ball. I wish we could play that everywhere, but unfortunately the game is not balanced around me. But no, like I said, pretty common to see Anna Brig still played here when you feel like it. If not, it would probably just default back to more or less normal. Look, Crizzy is going to be now on this Vendetta. It's going to be the only change. Vendetta normally plays with the Zarya for the bubble help. You can kind of mimic that with the defense matrix. Interesting, they want to go for a more committal side rather than the Tracer, which I would imagine kind of fits the tempo of this company better.
Yeah, because they tend to have a bit of a quicker tempo as well. I think you can pull that off very easily with what you have here, but it's the adjustments we're going to see over from South Africa instead. Swoon still sitting over on that Winston. I imagine Condi is just going to go for the one shot, switch back, and then could go and, for all we know, potentially match that Vendetta, but it's more than likely that maybe we see that Tracer come back out instead. But we'll see how that shot goes, as unfortunately not going to find it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen this one peak work. Yeah, you'd have to go really far back in the historical records, I'll put it that way, but I respect the try. Would have been cool if we did. King is going to be on Sojourn. Jacob is the only Brigitte. Oh, that's pretty early.
Yeah, Karma has been kind of nasty with those right clicks throughout the day so far. Those kunai have been difficult to deal with, but you're going to see the aggression be taken right out the gate right here. The separation coming online as Crizzy, rough situation, is being surrounded, gets out with next to no health, as they're going to be able to get 2 ticks here, but you're going to see a recontestment right around the corner, and Orion gets the better of King here. Thor swings wide open to try to take this one back, and with Karma being Jacob being forced back, they're at least going to get their 2 ticks right here, but that should be the extent.
Yeah, hard to do much more than that. Condi probably should have gone for the reset earlier. Instead taken care of by George. The same really could be said of Swoon, sort of running into the death is the closest thing they can, sticking their own head in the guillotine. I kind of like Jacob on the break here after some thought. Obviously, now with a bit more ability to boot the death, you can find some value there. And as well as gives you an additional piece of front line, which you news against the Diva of Ginger, who other than this map has been basically entirely free. You know, to Condi now over to Odetta off his own, see how that works out for him.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, it opens up the aggression quite a bit more. I think Zoom can have a little more oomph behind them when they go for these dives. So we'll see momentarily what the case is going to be. And there comes that dive as Zoom going to get it out of those initial cooldowns. But you see the Consider Rush going to separate everybody in two. As Orion, again, going to get that first blow going. Zoom has invested with that Primal Rage. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's going to get a whole lot. It's forcing some bodies around. Orion eventually does fall, but Green gets you getting rid of Condi. It pretty much shuts down any big level of aggression that you have.
Yeah, I think you have the numbers for it. See if the remaining 3 players are able to extricate themselves, and I imagine they would be, but Jacob dropping low is safe. Because you can't clear them, then the respawns are much faster. You can't retake any space. They can soon rush engage. It's perfect.
Yeah, and that blade gonna come through. It's gonna help get rid of Swoom here, and Karma cut not too long afterwards. So another fight going to be done and dusted here. Is with a minute and a half left, and Prizzy got rid of 3 in that fight. It's a bit of a rough situation right now, especially as Chu with his speed won't be able to sustain through just about anything.
Yeah, Sunring Blade, beautifully used there. Zones to consider rush entirely, and to boot takes care of Zoom. So doing everything you asked for of more. Now you're at heavy ult disadvantage, just the rally, maybe a Sundering, maybe a Clock heading into what could be final fight. Your opponent's 3 ults already online, 4 very likely. South Africa still on the back foot even after these substitutes.
Yeah, 100%. Now only a minute left as well. Feels like you have to try to take an aggressive fight, and people here are getting rid of Crizzy. That's a pretty beautiful way to get a fight started. But here comes Boom in that back line as the overclock gonna be thrown in by Orion. Beat thrown in as well. Try to keep this one going. Jacob gonna give a little more stabilization with the rally. Unfortunately, Condi again just a little too far out ahead in that situation. As South Africa is just playing for the lives right now. I think you need to try to stay alive, wait for the 55th to get back here. But Karma with an excellent right click over on the Orion. You feel like that opens back up the door. Unfortunately, it won't be the case unless Ginger gets remaxed, which they will not.
No, they will not. 91% is where the box so far stops. They've got one more try, and again, a chance for a pre-fight onto Prizzy, but this one won't materialize.
Yeah, Sundering Blade is going to get Ginger Refill down to nothingness. Need to try to cut them down. They will end up falling as somehow Karma goes down to the bomb, and now this is devastating because it's the one thing you were trying to build up to. Prizzy's now cut down 2 people as we head over to overtime. King is trying to keep things going, got rid of 2, so Zoom is there hanging around for the retouches, but it's a 2v1 right now. Condi, Karma, they are trying to Zoom, do everything they can to make their way back, but Condi needs to be there for a touch, but they are going to be just short.
I mean, I have no idea how Ginger is able to both get back into mech safely and get a bomb kill. It feels like if you get back into mech, that your bomb was very defensively placed, and people just like don't peek you. Or if people do peek you, you just die because you're a baby diva. And they dice the bomb, but the trade is worth it because they get tank advantage. I don't really know how you end up dying there, but unfortunately, it made it rather tricky to get anything else happening, and a lack of success, generally, is what we've seen so far. Condi's Detta has not been particularly inspirational. The One King as well, unfortunately. Matching damage with Jacob from that Soldier position, not really what you're going to see. Jacob has been playing well, and Zoom much better, in my opinion, than on some previous maps, but it simply has not been enough. This might be a very fast Blizzard world here, folks.
It very well might be. Again, it's going to require a really good hold, and maybe you see some difference here with, Zoom over on the Domina now, but to be fair, one of the things I've seen kind of work into that Domina really has been the Diva, honestly. I don't know what you've seen in your games or how much Domina has come out, but that Diva's kind of been a pressing force against them, so we'll see how well it works out. They're obviously trying a lot to do what they can to try to slow things down. Obviously, Condi also over on that Torbjorn. Again, it feels like a situation where let's try to see if something works, because obviously the last 4 minutes, what we tried was not successful.
Yeah, I'd say Domina, yes, it's nice you can shoot through shields, but ultimately Diva's just so good at tank trades, and Domina isn't. So if you fly past that shield, then the Domina's going to explode very, very quickly. Shield, as I mentioned, it is erected on the high ground. It's hard to take it down, but it's so an effective way of breaking.
Yeah, and that shield break from the Soju is so brilliant as well. Even in front of their Domina, they can break the enemy shield really quickly as well. But you already see them making the mic over towards the left and right side, kind of waiting for this, but waiting for the right opportunity to go in and strike. And you saw Crazy Fly right there is able to help clear off that high ground away, waiting for the right person to go in on. And to be fair, they're in no rush to do this. They can take their sweet time, wait for the right opening.
By the way, we haven't mentioned it yet, but obviously Condi being on that top run, it makes it very weird. Orion kind of has to be the one to break the top turret. Grizzly instead just throwing out the block charges for it. Instead of Whiskey, oh, heavy engage when you trade out.
Yeah, and to be fair, this is, to be fair, you're fine if you're South Africa in this situation. You get the full wipe coming through, turret back in place, Jacob can get back on time. It's a good fight to get things started. It burns away a minute as Crizzy is going to give up on them and go over to the Echo instead.
I don't hate it. It's better at breaking the top turret. And there's not a lot you can really overhead easily and consistently here, so... Is it better? We'll have to wait and see, but it's not a downgrade by any means either. High ground, again, cleared off by a Slow and a quick booster from Ginger. More can we find from that, though?
And we'll see right now. Big Sticky's over onto Condi, who's going to be able to survive through it for the time being. He's going to rush around the corner for both squads, but Jorg is going to get stunned out against the wall as Swoom takes care of them. Is going to stop the bleeding once more before the bleeding really even got started. But still, as long as Ginger's in there, you need to watch out for your backline and try not to give them too much attention either, or else they might catch somebody off guard.
Indeed. Crizzy, dead. Boom, able to find that exit frag. Half the time now gone. Ooh, very little progress found so far, and some late kills would be even nicer, but pushing into Diva, that short range is an uphill battle for sure. Rhinos ain't gonna do any of that. So, all they need to do is kind of duplicate this performance once more. They've got basically all their ults, but so do their opposition. Your ult trade is, I think, a smidge better for the defenders, but it is pretty marginal, all things considered. Helps that Crizzy is late, draws to the duplicate. You could look for a rally fight on the corner. You could look for an early Panopticon as long as it isn't Ethan.
Yeah, and there's that aggression as, Ginger's going to eat out on that Panopticon. It's a little rough right there, but everyone still trying to hang around in there. The King getting a ton of pressure, but Crizzy is still the first one to fall down as Jacob brings the aggression over, goes for the assassination, and now South Africa once again ahead right here, and getting Ginger refilled to potentially drop out of this mech would be massive, especially as Green goes down. They know where Ginger is at. Ginger should be able to get out alive. The question is whether Jorg will do the same thing. The answer is no.
Yeah, heavy spend from both sides. At the end of the day, 4 ults used versus the 2. So, but it also economy for the aggressors. Still, you're not so stressed about having that bomb through. Your procs are mirrored out, so the main threat has to be that duplicate. And who do you even go for here? Demeanor, I guess, but yeah, which value do you find from that?
I mean, it feels like that's the way to go. The King is the person who needs to kind of stay alive right now. It's the only ultimate available. The only ultimate that's going to be available for these next 30 seconds, without a doubt right here. So already some pressure being thrown in, trying to make a little bit of space right here. Green Kachu goes down early. You see Ginger Refill on the high ground is going to try to take out some bodies right here. We're down to a 4v3 as South Africa are doing everything they can to try to stay alive in this one's room. No matter what needs to try to stay alive, they're throwing every bit of damage into their face, trying to take them down. Eventually, they will. And South Africa, they gave their hearts to do it, but it's looking like they're going to come up just short.
Yeah, another strong try from South Africa that feels like it kind of crumbles in the last moment. They've had more than a couple of these. Condi, first touch. Recall, though, means it is temporary. Ginger Rayfield puts him down permanently, 3-0. Team Iceland right now looking implacable. And it is, again, off the back of a strong performance from Ginger.
Yeah, again, very consistent over on that type. Feels like kind of that star player for the time being. I think that's very fair to say here. But this is also the first instance where South Africa have really narrowed down their defense and really started to figure something out. It took things coming down to the very end for Iceland to find the success that they were looking for. But now it's match point. Backs are fully against the wall. But if South Africa can try to take a little bit of that momentum that they found on that defense, I think you have something to work with there, because I think outside of maybe a little bit of what we saw in Lijiang, it feels like it's definitely the most success that they've had at defending a point.
Yeah, it would have been a good defense. In fact, it is a good defense that they played. But as you mentioned, the metric is simply not the same. If you don't find any success, then equally, you must not let your opponents find any success. Again, if we go through into second point, then we're going to be talking about that such a strong defense from South Africa, getting it to overtime. They don't do that. And so, unfortunately, again, another map going against them that probably shouldn't have. again, like when we look at Gibraltar, right? They have great progress, plenty of time, and they trip, stumble, and it feels like the momentum in the map is gone. It feels like the same here. Momentum's on their side, and once they trip, they're just never picking it up again. So, unfortunate for South Africa. Still looking like a competitive team. The scoreline doesn't quite reflect that, however.
Yeah, it doesn't, unfortunately. I think they've made this close to some degrees. I think that's definitely warranted in saying. But now it's really about trying to find what little momentum that you've kind of found in those 3 maps and trying to utilize it for the 4th one and try to bring this back around. Now, I could see a situation where maybe this is the time where it's like, hey, given where we're at right now, this is where we throw the D.Va ban to try to get some momentum and try to force Ginger Refill over onto something else instead. I think that'll be fascinating to see. And I feel like, I don't know how you feel, but for me, that just feels like the way to go. And I'm doubling down, honestly. It feels like the one way to go.
Yeah, I think so. I think the other option is that if there are subs coming, again, a possibility that South Africa can bring in Thematic to play some Winston. But we'll just have to wait and see, really, exactly what they have available. Because I do think having Jacob in is an upgrade. I think it's an improvement over what they were doing previously. Obviously, this time simply wasn't enough. Coming down to one fight, not the end of the world. Also, the reverse sweep seems like tricky at times like this. And you mentioned they only have that one strat, sure. But it feels like you want a little bit more if you're in a position like this.
Yeah, you do want a little bit more because, again, we double down on the ideology that there have been definite bright spots for South Africa here today. They definitely had these really good plays. I think, obviously, Condi has had some really good highs. I think Karma has looked really good throughout the day, has kind of been the unsung hero for South Africa. That Kiriko has just been extremely consistent. So it's going to be fascinating to see where things end up going from here as we're getting ready for our 4th map coming up here, as it looks like Esperanza's going to be the next one, and we'll see where the bans go. But again, with it being that, I can very easily just see it being a D.Va.
Ishba and Queen ban coming through from South Africa. Queen ban not been played so far. I understand it's something that they might touch occasionally, but to me this feels like a tank protect more than anything else. We need to keep that Winston, I think, available here. Interesting one though. Esperanza not quite what I would have expected. It feels like, again, you want to put the onus into your own DPS to produce results. That's often why you do go towards Ishba. And it also helps generally to play Lucio Kiri. Obviously, Jacob more than likely to be piloting the Brig. So I think this is an interesting change more than anything else from South Africa. I'm not quite sure it's their best veto, but it's not terrible either.
Yeah, it's not terrible. Again, just protecting, and instead of trying to find something with Swoom here, which, to be fair, I don't know if the Winston does come back out, because, to be fair, the most momentum I feel like they actually found was when Swoom was over on the Domina instead. That's just, I think, the way things were in that situation. So maybe we do just keep this open for the Winston. Maybe we potentially see the D.Va get matched, for all we know. We haven't seen it yet from them, but to be fair, before we went into the last map, we hadn't seen the Domina from them either. So we'll see what the consistency is. We do know the other ban, though, and Eel Torbjorn, unfortunately, is going to be taken out here.
To be fair, Torb is like still in that kind of slightly off meta, still kind of playable position for a little while. Takes away Condi's hero. Did Crizzy play it as well at one point? No, it was just Condi, I think, who tends to pilot it. But still, it's kind of annoying. You don't want him the opportunity to do that if Tracer or Death isn't working out for him, and so that's why we see that selection come through. But these are getting quite eclectic bans already. We're at map number 4, and already we're getting creative with it. Torb and Queen. You say so?
Hey, why not? You know, the bans of 2026, you know, love to see it. I don't think it's going to horribly affect this at the end of the day. So obviously, we'll just have to see shortly what the case ends up being. As we're just making sure everybody is ready to go into our 4th map for South Africa. Obviously, going to do their best to try to pull this one back. It's going to be a very difficult one. It'd be amazing if they could, but much like any other reverse sweep, like any other game, you just got to take it one map at a time and try to find something here.
Indeed. They'd love to have a score at the very least. It's not the best outing if you go for your show match, fail to take anything. And this is essentially a full roster as well. At least everyone's on their starting roles. Juno Brig appears to be hovered in the spawn right now. See if it's permanent or not, as we are also waiting for the lobby to lock in. I doesn't believe in that, though. It's too much fun.
Yeah, we can't play fun comps in Overwatch. What are you? That's silly. That's some silly work right there.
Really? There we go. Colosseum, generally two main methods of approaching it. If you've got something that looks to play for extended shooting, especially if something that's quite brawly, you'll tend to go towards the kind of grass side, towards the robot side. If you've got something that wants to take angles, you'll instead be looking to cross that kind of shorter kind of courtyard in between the pillar and that kind of mega health pack room. So if we do see the Diva, do see the Winston, it would probably be the Diva comp trying to take bridge side or bot side. But this is all very much up to how the teams decide to play in the moment and if they want to go creative with their comps. It doesn't seem like it so far, more or less the same. Right. Again, Jacob not playing that loose, so he has the capability to, but he won't unless he's really forced to.
Yeah, no, 100%. So we'll see, yeah, if anything does change. Orion is obviously hovering the M-Ray. I don't think it'll come out, but to be fair, also wouldn't surprise me if they try to do something outside of that Soj. I'm happy to be gaslit and lied to, but it seems, yeah, the M-Ray will come out in this situation. We'll see how much it works. As you said earlier, very mixed feelings on it. Well, you're going to see if that changes here today.
Indeed. Orion lacks a lot of survival ability, so if jumped on, if there's a correctly set up dive from Condi and Zoom, may well just die. Equally, however, a ridiculous amount of damage available from him, so if he isn't dived on, then we'll keep Zoom basically half HP the entire game. And course already, that is off the back of the M-Ray, but Captain notice as well, around up to now 17 HP, the 10 to kind of maybe gets him lower.
Yeah, 100%, and Ginger a little surrounded right now, actually close to going down. Eventually will be kept up and be able to kind of re-engage here momentarily, but still, it's all about finding that opening pick, about finding something that where you can burst through and you can just send the aggression directly after the fact right here. Ginger again kind of struggling to really get in there and do a whole lot, but if you're Swoom in this South Africa team, you're waiting for your moment to pounce, and for some reason it really feels like it hasn't come by here yet, as they are getting pelted at every corner.
Superior angles taken so far. Karma, the first ball. Orion picks that kill up off the back of a bit of a flank. And this might be first fight going more now in favor of Team Iceland. Yeah, Ginger, George, all posting their kills. Condi takes his pound of flesh, but it won't matter whatsoever in the end. The most important thing, probably with M-Ray, is that his ultimate crazy powerful, right? That overdrive is kind of nuts. Orion's almost finished it off already, and no defense matrix, no sound barrier. What tools do you really have to counteract that as Team South Africa?
The problem is you don't have a lot at this moment. You're working up to it, a ton of things to be able to deal with it, but it's not like you have a Diva to eat away the damage or even much of a shield either for that matter. You just kind of have to try to pressure Orion out so they don't find the value. But Condi, again, manages to find somebody here as now they're hanging around in the back. You have a pulse bomb ready to go as Short over on this Curie, who's a really consistent, comes through, and Condi gets their stick right here. And South Africa is going to be able to start moving forward as Chrissy going to try to get out of here alive. Unfortunately, neither going to be able to do so, as Ginger will just die over on the point as it'll start hitting South Africa's way once more.
Very impressive that Condi can, kill 3 this fight, but can he do that every fight? Because obviously, when that doesn't happen, when he only gets the 1 kill in a long fight, they find themselves outvalued by Ginger and co. It's a lot of pressure on an admittedly strong player's shoulders if he just has to hyper carry that lobby. And so I think it's lovely to have that fight win, but it's not the way we can expect to see South Africa actually gaining significant progress in the robot.
Yeah, we'll take the lead for the time being and have the Kitsune rush out to get a little bit of space. Orion does end up getting burnt down, though, so big opening here, especially if they actually manage to get this checkpoint to get things rolling, as Swoom is more than happy to keep that aggression going. And by taking everybody's attention right here, they're going to be able to lock in those forward swans, and Swoom will stay alive.
Indeed, goes very deep with that Primal Rage, able to extricate himself, getting that kill onto Orion as well, means the forward swans, as you mentioned, now unlocked. Much better from South Africa. Kitsu mostly zoned by the sword, which won't catch anything, either of those check marks. Rally now from Jacob, see if that's enough.
Yeah, Jacob trying to bounce back in the situation right here. You haven't made a ton of progress. 2 ults that kind of have been kind of just made to give a bit of space right here, but Chrissy has found their one right here, and if you're Orion, you're moving in, you're trying to just clear everybody out. as just Swoom and Kondi hanging around over on the point. Just gonna die on there. That way everybody can claim those forward spawns. Full spawn thrown out anyway, unfortunately, to no avail.
Yeah, I don't quite know what the idea was there. You're like 1v4. You hit the clip, cool, you get some aura points, and then what? So a tool you'd probably rather have in this fight, especially considering how valid of a target Orion can be. But all players, I believe, stacking on the inside lane here. Lovely for the nades, already up to 30% of another ultimate from Orion. So how we're gonna open.
Yep, King wants to get something going with his overclock, but the beat in exchange means everyone kind of just has to hang back out here. Chrissy's gonna be aggressive, perhaps to their detriment, though. To be cleaned up swiftly. So point is being contested at 44 meters right now and counting. So with the 4v4, they need to start bringing their presence down here. Swoom's got the drop down, is causing separation. Everybody thrown back with Swoom, perhaps a little bit more than they could chew, as now they're gonna try to steal the spot away as far as they can. Unfortunately, far they will not get right here, as Iceland put themselves in a beautiful position as King just has to kind of roll in there, trying to get back to the rest of their team.
Indeed. Oh, good pressure onto Jacob. Can he survive? The shooting is good so far, but surely it won't last forever. Drop slow. Stable by Khan, but in the meantime, the one King is punished. Kondi now the only DPS. Will he be enough?
Yeah, we'll see whether or not Consider Rush is ready if they decide to take the 4v5 right here, which, to be fair, if you want to be able to hold on to that lead, that is a necessary tool you're going to have to use. Now, we'll find out momentarily what the case is going to be, but Swoom literally drops into their own death, and now there's no way to take this card away. Karma and Jacob are just running for the hills. They've been sectioned out, though, and now that lead is right around the corner from being taken away. That it will, and now if you're South Africa, you just need to reset it. For Jacob, I don't know what you do right now.
Good point. Might as well. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, remember, the lead hasn't been properly taken yet, by the way, as they're kind of just swapping in and out, waiting for their opportunity to strike. Remember, you also have your own Consider Rush around the corner to use it, and that they will rally, and that being thrown in Chrissy low, as Ju couldn't initially pull the trigger on that beat. Orion not going to catch on to it, could potentially not matter, though, as they're trying to drill it on somebody, but Jacob staying alive long enough to potentially make a difference right here, as Orion has to pull that corner. Ginger Refill does have that remake ready to go, is going to attempt to go for it right here. We'll be able to get it, as the lead will end up being taken regardless.
Oh, Karma, lovely melee there to take care of Green Kachu, but we're still draining kills back, and fourth, one King dead. 4v4, Cart not really moving any which way, but this is the lead now in favor of Iceland. They're going to be pretty happy with that. Karma dead. Zoom at least capable of punishing Orion. Oh, Kondi. The boosters, you're going to be feeling that one. And the remaining two members now of Team South Africa have to desperately try to stay alive. Because if not, the stagger, as we're seeing now, is absolutely brutal. This is another 20 meters on the robot easy. Maybe even more. And I just, like, you already got the sword, sure, but this next fight, you're going to have so much just free value because of these staggers.
No, absolutely. They're not going to be able to take a proper engagement to at least like 95 meters here. And now you go into this, it's like you have to use the overclock just to find that opening right here, especially maybe as you find the initial shot as DM is thrown their way. King probably would have hit that one, but the DM is perfectly timed, and Ginger again is going to help them drill forward. South Africa, another reset has to be used, and now their foot is promptly sat back as their back's just against that wall now.
Indeed. Oh, literally down to a sliver of HP. A railgun takes care of Kondi. 120 meters. You mentioned their backs are up against the wall. They're getting squeezed now, trash compactor style. You could go for a Pokemon to open this up, but you don't really need to. Instead, I just play slow. Wait for one of these supporters to come online. Wait for your opponents to spend, also try and force you out. I think being chill, putting on the back burner, name of the game here for Iceland. Great boop onto Zoom.
Yeah, and it's going to force them to at least back out for a moment here, so you can start trying to drag this thing back the other way, but remember, obviously, forward spawn's more than activated. Kondi getting rid of Grizzy, though, is going to kind of open up the door here to get things going. Ginger Refill's hanging around in the backside, is trying to get a little bit of care. Obviously, would like to avoid using the remake at this time, as looks like everybody should be able to get out alive in this set.
They will be able to. No chance of a completion, but when we're looking at this kind of 2-minute mark in the time, we don't really need to. Great boot, Hitsu necessary, beat everything for Green Kachu, but doesn't even press the button.
Yeah, I think they got burnt down so quickly that they literally could not, and now Jacob lets the rally loose. Unfortunately, I don't know how much this is going to get, but Condi has gotten rid of 2 of their own, so this is looking extremely winnable now. Ginger Refill has that bomb for the remake ready. They're going to use it right here. Whether or not they'll get it is questionable, but they will not. But the problem is the card's been stolen away. They're all going to get the forward spawns anyway, and that 5-1 right there, I don't want to say it's next to useless, but in a sense, it kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of their progress has been undone by that lovely work coming through from Orion. So yeah, Team South Africa, they're able to win a fight. It's a lovely clutch rally coming through from Jacob. But as you mentioned, the actual progress they're getting on the wall, negligible. They've spent heavily. But it's still an easy recontest that can come through now, using the clock of Orion first.
Yeah, but Ginger again gets the opening shot right here. People draw the attention over there with Orion as they get one of their own. Jacob wanted to be aggressive like earlier. It doesn't work out though, and everyone being forced away and cleaned up big time. King, the last one alive, is going to drop over down there as at the very least Ginger is out of the mech right now. So if you can take a quick fight, maybe you can take advantage.
Maybe, but it's going to feel incredibly tricky. Probably 3 fights, maybe even 4 going to be needed by Team South Africa. An uphill battle, absolutely, to be sure. Thankfully, you do have the ults for it. 4 online, just missing the rally. Your opponent's good economy as well, but a little bit worse. The bomb just not as powerful as the Primal Rage, and Orion not having a clock of his own makes it tricky.
Yeah, the remake gonna come through. Sundering Blade is here though. Beat going to be used. Still a full power hit from that would be difficult to get through, but everyone's just gonna pull around that corner. And Crizzy gonna try to pull it back the other way. Gets rid of Condi, and now the door could be wide open here for Iceland to be able to finish this thing off. King going to get one of their own though, trying to keep them alive in this one. Swoon more than happy to try to do the exact same. Ginger going to be able to keep their allies alive for the time being, and obviously would love to get a quick little regroup and group up for another fight.
Indeed. Ginger. Oh, short shying here makes this really weird. Swoon, we're alive now. Feels like the first time in each run, so at least for a little while. Primal Rage, though, expended for just 1 late kill. Is that enough value? That's what they have to be asking themselves now.
It's really the question whether Jacob can go and get this online. Gets pulled down, so Ginger has to immediately retract on that one. Is going to be able to maintain the mech for the time being, but Jacob getting the rally is the integral thing right here. It is a must-need situation, especially with Kitsune Rush online for George to be able to push them into this one. This is going to be a difficult one to come back from. That they're not going to hesitate the moment that comes up. Jacob with that rally at the same time to help try to sustain them through it. Now it's all about who can find this opening pick to try to keep them going. Condi is being pressured, but Jacob goes down first and foremost. The rest of the members beginning to fall apart around them as well. Ginger might have the bomb, but it might be in celebration more than anything else, as close as they got to taking this one back. Iceland again will do that, and they will properly win out the series.
Yes, they will be able to find that W. I think a lot to think about here if you are Team South Africa, how you are able to find some really lovely fights pretty consistently, but it's never able to string them together for long enough to actually score anything. I think might just be, I mean, you mentioned the team for South Africa not quite decided yet. Might just be they're still kind of figuring out some of these teething problems. Iceland having that extra practice really just helps them gel together because they feel like a complete unit. Their opponents still getting there, but I mean, we speak about, you know, like a month's time, slightly less for this wild card as being not a lot of time. And Overwatch, that's absolute decades. You know, there's going to be balance patches in between now and then, and we might be playing on sort of a different version of the game even. And so I don't think it's alarm bells ring so much as they get a chance to play against another strong team, someone they're likely to play against in the wild card, and get to figure out exactly where some of these issues are cropping up. And it feels like, you know, early on, over-aggression from Zoom. Later on, it feels like Condi trying to go for a little bit too many hero moments.
Yeah, a little bit in with a situation like this specifically. I don't mind that there's a lot of aggression. I don't mind that Swoon wants to try to be aggressive, but if that happens, obviously, you need to have your team be able to be aggressive with you as well. And sometimes that's simple to do, sometimes it's not. I figured out, I think they figured out how to work with it a lot more as the series progressed on. I think you saw very good instances of it back on Esperanza. But at the end of the day, again, it's just an Iceland team that already seems to, in a sense, have it figured out in their own minds as to how they like to play. They know what they're strong at, and they showed it, and it worked out really well for them right here. So this is a situation where South Africa basically needs to do the exact same thing in these next few weeks to get ready for that wild card. And Again, they'll assess things. Nothing is fully locked in place for them in terms of their roster. I don't know what their tryouts have looked like specifically, but one thing I do know is obviously not the most time in the world left between now and those wild cards, so a decision will have to be made soon.
Indeed. See if they can make it. But if not, what else do we have for the stream here, Hunter? Because can't think of too much else we have to cover.
Yeah, that's the funny part. There's
Yeah.
not really much else to cover. That's the funny thing. Ultimately, only thing I really can say is honestly just keep your eyes peeled on social media, because a lot of these teams are trying to put together show matches. Obviously, with the wildcard coming up, everyone's trying to get as much experience as they possibly can under their belt. So at the end of the day, that's all I can really say is just look out. Obviously, we're doing a bunch of stuff as well, doing what we can to help cover as many of these countries as possible. And obviously, hopefully, the official dates will come out for the wildcard. Again, I'm pretty sure the teams know where they are. I don't think it's public yet, though, so we'll figure that out here pretty soon. But with that being the case, we shan't delay any further, Spec. Thank you for joining me on this cast right here, and obviously thank you to OBS Kachal for helping observe. It was a phenomenal job, as always. Everybody, take care, have yourselves a good night, and we'll see you next time. Peace.